Markle's brand, as ever, will fail. It might not be this year, might not be next year. We might have to wait 5 years or so for it to fold, but I can almost guarantee you that it will. And it comes down to simply bad marketing, bad PR, and bad management. Because what we've seen throughout this whole year of Meghan Markle's grand relaunch into social media in the media space is that she has no clue who she is. She has no clue what her brand is. She is all over the place when it comes to her posting. And what this tells me, as somebody who enjoys marketing and branding and all these sorts of things, is that Meghan doesn't have a vision. And she even admitted at one point, well, if it succeeds, that's great. What do you mean if? If you are an entrepreneur, if you are a true business person, it's not just an if, it's a must. It must be successful. It must make money. It must, it must, it must. But Meghan doesn't see things this way. And as a member within our community very graciously pointed out, this is a hobby for Meghan. It's not a career, it's a hobby. And it's much like a mom who has a side hustle at her home making jam. That is exactly what Meghan Markle's brand is. And that is why it will fail. She does not have the drive to succeed, and she will jump to the next thing as soon as it's convenient. And since she has relaunched into the media space in the last couple of months, we have seen a very directionless, meandering brand and personality because Meghan Markle has no clue what she's doing. She's not listening to the experts, and she is also only in it for herself and the money. So, we are going to explore this topic today because I love talking about the business side of Meghan because it's so bad. And there's just so many great lessons that you can learn and hopefully take into your own business. But if you haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you back. And if you enjoy talking about all these sorts of things, you can check out our upcoming trip to the south of Viva la France. We'll be going to Nice, Monaco, and Provence. There'll be a wine tasting. The day trip to Monaco, I believe, is optional. So you definitely want to make sure you sign up for that because it's going to be amazing. I just can't wait. I'm so excited. We have a great crew going. We only have 6 spots left. So if you are interested, feel free to check out the link up above or down below. If you have any questions, just feel free to send them my way. I would love to answer them for you. We've had several of these trips. People love them. And I think this is the only one I'm going to have this year. So I'm so excited for people to be on it and to see everyone. We have some new attendees, some returnees. And so it's just going to be a wonderful, lovely, and amazing trip. So guys, again, check out that link up above. And in other royal news, we do have King Charles and Prince William. They went to Westminster Abbey today for the Order of the Bath. It's one of those ancient orders of chivalry, and both of the men looked absolutely magnificent in their robes. We also have Catherine and William heading up to Scotland in the next week or so to christen a ship. So that'll be very exciting in Glasgow. And we also have a lot of royals we'll see over the weekend at the first inaugural coronation mass of Pope Leo. So this will be on Sunday. So we know the Danes aren't going, but we have the Spaniards, we have the Belgians, we have Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, Prince Edward of the UK, and Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden, I believe, is going as well. So we have several royals going. Liechtenstein is going. Love saying Liechtenstein. I imagine the Luxembourg royals are going. So we have 2 of the principalities, probably Monaco is going to be lumped in there as well. So that'll be something to keep your eye out for this weekend. But usually as sort of things wind down into the weekend, everything sort of slows down in royal land a bit. Though Queen Mary of Denmark did award the Queen Mary Scholarship at the University of Copenhagen. It's awarded to an Australian exchange student, recognition of academic excellence. Queen Mary is originally from Australia, so that's a very sweet little meeting there for sure. Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden also visited the Ukrainian Institute in Stockholm for an event to support Ukrainian culture. And Princess Charlene of Monaco attended on Thursday a mass in tribute of Lorenzo Renou, who was a young student who played basketball who tragically died last Sunday in a road accident. Obviously, the community of Monaco is very, very small, so it's not a surprise necessarily that they would come around each other to support in that sort of situation. Meghan, oh Meghan, This year started off, you could say she wanted to start off strong. She had this grand social media strategy. She was back on Instagram, guys. Life was good for Meghan Markle. However, has it been really all that great at the end of the day? Has it been all that successful? Or, in fact, is she worse off than she has ever been? And I would argue the answer is sort of obvious. She's in a really bad spot. And it's something that's been building and growing for a long time. And you can see it reflected in her social media strategy, both for as ever and for her main account. Because Megan, sort of in her public image this year, I almost feel like has done way too much. I've talked about how she's overexposed, but it's not just that. That is, of course, a portion of it. But what we see throughout her quote unquote brand strategy is sort of an epic disaster. She has no clue who she is. She has no clue who she's appealing to. She has no idea what the future holds, really. She's just sort of trying to do something that keeps the lights on and hopefully the Cartier jewelry flowing. And it's because of that, I look at her brand that she doesn't really even seem to care about that much. And I can't help but think this is going to fail, isn't it? Of course it is. How can it not fail? You can't have a successful brand with somebody who is not that invested in it. And that's 100% where Megan is. And so we're going to look at sort of, you could say, like 4 key factors here. And I wrote them out even. So I try to remain on track. Wildly inconsistent messaging, not living up to her own standards. She has no clue what as ever is and what it means and what she's trying to actually represent. And for her, this whole thing is a hobby. It's not a business, it's a hobby. She is in the kitchen like any other mom doing a side hustle at this point. That's Megan's business. And she's creating all this like attention and you could say mystique over something that's really that basic. And I can say so. I have her products. They were pretty mid and terrible. I think I could go to a farmer's market and get the same thing or even something better. There was nothing unique or interesting about Meghan Markle's brand, its presentation, anything like this. And I think this is so important to go over because you will see so many people who say, well, Meghan Markle's doing great. This brand is doing great. It's going to be so successful and yada, yada, yada. And I can't help but look at it, knowing a decent amount about PR and branding and everything, and going, no. Like everything with Harry and Meghan, there is the curiosity factor that starts things off, but it doesn't hold. And what we've seen as well is most likely Meghan Markle was making exceptionally small batches, which reflects again the idea that this is a side hustle. And so because she didn't have a huge batch of products, it's really hard to gauge how successful any of this has been or will be because everything is so small, it's so slight. And then she seems to disappear from as ever social media for a while. I mean, she's still even using, I think, videos and images that she took for American Riviera Orchard. It's insane. So let's get into this. This will be looking at her social media account in particular, because that's where you can see most of this stuff that's so incredibly evident. So here's the as ever page. Now, remember, these sort of 4 things we're looking at: hobby, not a business, wildly inconsistent messaging, doesn't live up to her own standards, don't know what as ever means or represents. Think of those 4 things as we evaluate the ability of Meghan Markle to communicate what her brand is. So, what we have: a rose, Meghan making tea, and tea bags that are not what I have. They're not the same thing. Just wanting to point that out there right now. The tea bags that she made and these actual tea bags that we got are totally different. And also, there is no branding on this tag. Incredibly, incredibly. Again, what you are getting as a consumer is not what Megan is showing here. Not at all the same. She's in a bush with a basket and then giving water to plants, a teacup in a field in a like a $3,000 dress. What does her kids, what does any of this mean? And let's go into it because, again, I think this is incredibly important, establishing these sort of key points about why as ever will fail. So let's start with today's heading into the weekend. Okay. You're in a jean skirt, you have a rose, and you have a button up shirt. What am I supposed to get from this? Like, what message are you promoting? What's the message here? I know it's the weekend. I also have a calendar, Meghan Markle, on my phone, so I know it's the weekend. What are you doing? She's not doing anything. And we know because we're all savvy now. We're all very media savvy. We know that this picture was probably taken last week, 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. We don't know when this picture was taken. It could mean anything and nothing. There's no story here. There's no story here. I don't know if that's from her garden. I don't know if she stole that from a bouquet of sorry flowers that Harry sent in terms of he needed to say sorry, so he got her a bunch of roses. I don't know. Tells me nothing. Then we have the T. She says simplicity. Simplicity. So Meghan Markle likes these stupid. I mean, I just can't help but call them stupid. Like these word pun things. I'm like, why? She tried to do that in her show too. It's like breadily or not here, I crumb. She thinks she's more clever than she is. But the ridiculous thing is, as a consumer, this is not what I get. This is not what I get. So what's the simplicity? Yeah, tea is simple. I can get it from a million other places. I happen to have it from you. I don't need to have it from you. I can get it from elsewhere for cheaper and get more products. So what's the point? What's the message? I can see your hands. I can see your ring. Oh, are we going to be all as rich as you? What's the point? What's the message? What's the story? There's no story here. We've been quietly crafting something special. Stay close. We're looking forward to sharing it with you. We're so looking forward to sharing it with you. Oh, so this was edited too. Very interesting. Now remind me to double check something. So she's crafting something, quietly crafting something when she's literally getting fruit out of a tree. That's generally what that post means, although we can't see any fruit, so who knows? I mean, it's like it's an obviously curated, perfectly snapped image. And this is not really what's selling on Instagram anymore. We'll go and see Gwyneth Paltrow, and you can see why that makes why Gwyneth is so much more successful than Megan is here. But this means nothing. I'm like, are you crafting? Are you making that basket? That would actually be somewhat impressive. Doubt she is though. And so that was 3 days ago. Or 4 days ago. 4 days ago. Her last post though was 3 weeks ago. Cheers to the beauty of the garden. Happy Earth Day, everyone. So when you're trying to create a brand and a brand identity, yes, maybe you don't want to post constantly. I think that's her bra that you can actually see right there now that I think about it. Because look, there's a button. The button should button up there. So yeah, great, like shot of your bra, Megan. Thank you. So the big question here is why the big skip? She should be posting more. And in this world now, it actually behooves you to post as much as possible. Now you don't want to overdo it, but 3 weeks were taken in a studio or with a professional photographer somewhere getting the perfect shot. So what does that mean? Then before, it was 6 weeks ago when everything's sold out. I mean, and again, 100%. We don't know how many products she actually had. But she says here, we are sold out. Thank you for your last order. So 6 weeks. So there were 3 weeks in between these two posts. Why aren't you posting more? And what she was doing, which annoyed me for a while too, was that she was sharing stories on the Meghan Instagram and the same stories on the As Ever Instagram. So it's like, which one is which? And why aren't you, if you're trying to sell us this as a must have, aren't you showing us how you use this in your kitchen? What she should be doing every day that she's not doing is showing unique and interesting ways you can brew the tea, make the cookies, make the crepes, all these sorts of things, maybe every other day, maybe not every day. But reels and videos, that's what's moving right now. Not this. This stuff doesn't move, which is why she's like pretty low here at 829,000. Like think of how much reach Meghan Markle has, really. People all over the media are talking about her and she can't even get a million follows on her brand. And how many of those people actually ended up getting one single bit of her products? I would say that's a microscopically small number. Even her fans couldn't get it. So again, we have limited quantities and that's when she officially launched the brand. And then we were signing it As Ever Meghan. So what's which? Meghan here, maybe April Fool's Day, but we aren't joking. Tomorrow's a big day, blah, blah, blah. So some of the people, the crazy people who got as ever tattooed. It's going to fold, guys. So you got a brand name tattooed on your arm that doesn't matter. And that's creepy. Don't like to me, that's super duper creepy and bizarre fan behavior. And so she went with all her Uber fans and all the poor fools that tattooed themselves. Yeah, you'll be regretting that here in a couple of years. I can almost guarantee you that. Because then she says, as ever. But we'll see again that there's not consistency in the as ever aspect. And so again, we got this a fresh start to the week. This was actually what she should have been doing the whole time, which is reels, seeing the raspberry spread be made or whatever. And look, she had a couple hundred here, not that many. Nothing else. She posed a picture of her kids. Every day is a love story. Back to the beginning. By the spoonful. Bite-sized bliss. Like none of this means anything. So if you know nothing about Meghan Markle and you're looking at all this, what does any of it mean? What's the story? What's the behind the thing? There's no there. There's just no there. And things get worse when you look at Meghan's profile. So now she just crossed the threshold to 2.9 million. And think about it. She's really struggled. She kind of hit 2 pretty quickly and then really struggled to keep going. And the reason for that is that in part, her messaging is all over the place. But 2, she's not that popular. Half of the people following her are probably journalists, to be quite honest. And so we look through this here and we're getting thanks James Taylor. And it's like, this was super duper awkward. I'm like, why are they doing that? Why are they standing? It doesn't look like they got even good seats here. So what happened? Of course, it might have been a last minute thing to distract because one of the things that drives Meghan Markle crazy, has always driven her crazy, is the inability to clap back in the media. And so since she now has her Instagram account, oh, my husband got caught on a Ring video looking randomly for houses in London or randomly trying to find his friends in a London neighborhood. Oh, let me post a ton of pictures of us at a concert for really no reason except for as a distraction. And that's not a good social media strategy because you look at this and this is all over the place. So she's in her concert era, talking about the kids. Thank you, Beyonce. Oh, flower arranging with guy last spring. So a year-old video with a dead dog is supposed to get us excited about your brand. The dog in this video, no offense, he is gone. Those flowers are definitely dead. So what's the point of all this? Also looks like a funeral arrangement, to be quite honest. The kid, no comment. So they kind of love with my little ones. So do you notice something in particular here as I'm scrolling through these little bits? Notice something? I'll come up here in a second because we'll finally get to one where she's finally using it again. Here, oh, it's almost here. I think it's almost, there we go. So, April 1st. That was the last time Meghan actually signed off a post with as ever, Meghan. She launched a brand with, let's go down here. First post of the year. So she signed it as ever, Meghan here. She started signing off all of her initial posts. So she didn't do anything here, but as ever, as ever, as ever, not there, as ever, not there, not there, not there, not there, not there, not there, not there. Was it too hard, Meghan, to sign off with as ever? Because she dropped it. The whole name of your brand is as ever. Why aren't you reinforcing that by leaving actual personal notes and saying, as ever, Meghan? Why aren't you doing that? Or could it be that you never really cared about the brand name in the first place, which is why you never kept it up? I think that's what it is. Now, when it comes to even, let's say, her newsletters for her brand, let me double check here. It's been a little bit, or not a little bit. I check my email every day, but I believe there has been No actual as ever newsletter. And of course, it's a horrible name, so it's hard to search for. Think the last time, guys, we got an email from Meghan in her newsletter was April 5th. Just says, for as long as I can remember, I've been dreaming of simple ways to make every day just feel just a little bit more exceptional. Always knew I wanted to turn those ideas into something real to create thoughtful pieces that inspire connection and celebrate the meaningful moments that shape our days. To capture a feeling, a rhythm, a sense of beauty you can return to again and again. That spirit is at the heart of As Ever, an invitation to slow down, savor the present, and find joy in the details. Guys, we went through Meghan Markle's whole As Ever social media account because she's only following As Ever. Do you guys feel any of that? Do you feel any of that messaging there? Which again says meaningful moments that shape our days to capture a feeling, a rhythm, a sense of beauty that you can return to. Thoughtful pieces that inspire connection. Celebrate. I mean, there's nobody else even in her pictures except for her kids at a time or two. What? It's not good. Her messaging on Instagram, or at least her profile on Instagram, all over the place. Clapping back at the British media for Harry's disastrous interview. Showing off the kids. They have bright red hair there. And then over here, you can't really see it. I mean, part of it's the lighting, but yeah, she's trying to be normal, but her son's in a $75 pair of pajamas. And no wonder, let's say, even Confessions of a Female Founder, that's failing too. It's not a surprise because Meghan has done the thing that she should never have done, which I think in part is getting back on Instagram. But the bigger issue for Meghan is the 4 points we went over. Number one, I will say wildly inconsistent messaging. I don't know what the message of As Ever is. I don't know what the message of Meghan is. She's all over the place. I'm in my concert era, but no, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I'm a founder. I'm a princess. Like she's trying to throw all these different things in our faces. Or, I'm Megan Sussex. I'm not the Duchess of Sussex. That's another thing. What happened to Megan Sussex? Like that died on a hill really quickly because she is not consistent in the messaging. The messaging is too varied and she didn't like the reaction to it, so she folded. And then we have not living up to her own standards. Now, you couldn't really tell this in the post, but Meghan kind of goes out of her way to talk about, how I make everything beautiful. And she has a whole show about her hosting and making food. But what's interesting is that we have increasing bits of detail that she's actually not cooking at home all that much, to be honest. And again, this is just Meghan's words, you could say, used against her. And so she says, I like being able to do a hybrid. Chinese food delivery is a favorite, but when I get takeout, I try to plate it beautifully, says Meghan. She encourages others to strive for balance, not perfection, despite her show's beautiful imagery. The series is about doing what you can do and doing it with love. So, and I forgot, even the brand, like she's launched too many brand names. We have With Love, As Ever, technically American Riviera Orchard sitting out there, Meghan Sussex, the Duchess of Sussex, Confessions of a Female Founder, way too many. Way, way, way too many. And we have a new piece from her podcast talking about how she gets takeout. And then she admitted in a bit that was on Paramount Plus that they pulled after, I want to say, it wasn't even a day, and they pulled it. Meghan talked about how she ordered out for Thanksgiving. She did not cook Thanksgiving for her family. She got somebody else to do it for her. I can't remember exactly, but she got some sort of takeouts. It was obviously turkey and the normal fixings for Thanksgiving, but she had somebody else do it. She didn't do it. She paid to have that done for her. And so she's not living up to her own standards. She's showing off all these beautiful curated dishes and talking about how she hosts and everything. But when push comes to shove, it sounds increasingly like she is getting takeout for her family quite consistently and then putting it on plates and giving it to them and making them think that she actually cooked it. I mean, think about it. That's encompasses all of Meghan Markle. Really. Almost kind of bummed I didn't go down that track. The fakeness of Meghan Markle is that she claims to be this great cook and hostess when in fact, most of the time she actually probably orders out. She orders out. She's so pissy, And going through all the posts, we don't know what As Ever represents, what it means. Nothing. We know nothing about the brand. And a great comparison you could say is Gwyneth Paltrow. Because I think, yeah, she has a variety of things she shows on here, but I think there's a consistency there that's just simply missing with Meghan. And Gwyneth does treat this like her personal account. She's showing off Goop label stuff. So this is another thing with branding I want you guys to pay attention to, which is that Goop, everything with Goop runs together. It's Goop podcast here. She's got a Goop podcast. She's got a G label. All of it works together. I mean, this is for her daughter's 21st birthday. So very private and personal. This is actually a paid ad for a Max Mara bag that also Queen Mary owns. And then we have more from the Goop podcast, her at some sort of installation thing. And so she's showing off Goop G label tops. And then she has her breakfast. So she's consistently doing consistent posting on a particular topic. So every Saturday you can expect these type of posts. Now she doesn't post every day, you could say, but everything is related together. And she's showing off her cooking skills. You can tell she actually cooks. And Gwyneth has, again, more podcasting there. So all of this I feel like works together. It's a mix of personal, but she's also sharing her brand. She also has something she does every week, which is this. And it all again sort of works together, I think, in a really balanced way. And if you look at Goop overall, yes, you have Gwyneth here doing various things, but there's other things like you can feel the consistency. Yes, it's not the same, but there's a consistent filter here. We know what they're doing. We know they're showing off their various products and their series and those sorts of things. And so I get a sense of what Goop is. Goop is sort of, it's ritzy, it's female led, it's, kind of bland. They talk about clothes and family and relationships and sex and all these sorts of things, travel, handbags, all the accessories we can't wait to wear. So this all again sort of works together. And then you look at something like Meghan's and you can see the inadequacy of Meghan's fit. And so I wanted to show you Gwyneth because one of our very astute members pointed out that Meghan's business for her is a hobby. It's not a business, it's a hobby. And I've actually spent a lot of time at hobby stores recently or crafting stores because Joanne Fabrics is sadly going out of business. And so I've been scooping up a whole bunch of cross stitch stuff. I got some wreaths today that I can put on my front door. And it's sort of sad to see a business like that fail, but I understand what it is and what it was. And when it comes to business, I think when I see this quote from Meghan, this is when I go, oh, she's going to flop. This is going to flop. This is going to fail. And this is why. She says, I see myself as an entrepreneur and a female founder. You see yourself, but you're not actually those things yet. And if the brand ends up influential, then that's great. If you shouldn't be thinking of your brand going, well, if it succeeds, that's great. No, I went into the business I'm doing here with YouTube and everything going, it has to succeed. I'm going to work every hour of the day to make it successful. And hopefully at some point it will be, maybe not, but I'm going to go in with the attention that I'm going to make this a successful, thriving business. And that's exactly what happened. Now, that doesn't happen for everyone, but I think the intention there to have it a success in part is a good foundation for making something a success. Meghan just goes, well, if it becomes influential, really that means if it succeeds, well, that's great. But not what she should have said is, I want As Ever to be a cornerstone of, you could almost say, and this is very, very broad, the American housewife experience. No, let's go do this one. I want As Ever to be the cornerstone of a hostess's repertoire. Everything, every product within the brand represents this hostess, and that giving her all the ingredients to have a wonderful dinner party every single time without fail. Because Meghan Markle's, you could say, kind of general thought process of, oh, I just want to bring the beauty to the everyday, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, 100% that means different things to different people, but there's nothing tangible about it. Like what she should have gone in with is something to the effect of, because she has simplicity, is I'm going to make the best tea ever. I'm going to make the best tea experience ever. She just goes, well, if. And you see this reflected in just her products. I have a whole video reviewing all her products if you want to see my disgusting face to her peppermint tea, which was horrifically awful, by the way. It's terrible. But when I was trying her tea, or when I got her products finally, because it took them way too long to get here. But when I got her products, guys, you could just tell they were not well done. They were kind of shoddily put together. And for somebody who says, I want to elevate the every day, why doesn't she have her branding on this little tag? That's like number one thing, guys. That's number one thing. So many teas, even cheap teas like Lipton, have branding on the tag. For her to not have it, I think represents a cheap product that was made quickly. And little effort was spent to actually elevating it. There was nothing elevated about this. I'm not going to go get it, but I have actually tea from King Charles's Highgrove Gardens. And it's also in this special little packet, Meghan Markle. So the packet didn't make yours unique or interesting. I got the same thing from elsewhere. So looking at all this together, Goop hasn't been perfect. They've had to actually let people go and stuff like that, but I would argue it's been very successful. Been a very successful venture for Gwyneth Paltrow. As ever for Meghan Markle, not so much. I think every time she launches a new line, the dividends will be fewer and farther between. Because even with the first launch, guys, I'm not even sure how much she made. I don't think she made that much, to be honest. The run was so small. I think all the stock was so limited that, to be frank, because I didn't see a ton of people talking about it or who got it. I think the quantities were quite small. And so because of that, she can't make that much on it. Again, it's just like a mom with a side hustle out of her kitchen. That's exactly what this is. And because of that, it won't be successful. And Meghan doesn't help herself by not sending a clear brand message and then dropping things like, I'm going to say, and every post with as ever. And then she totally drops it. And then she'll have weeks between posting on as ever and just show the same pictures that she would have shown for American Riviera Orchard. When you drop a brand name and get a new one, you really need to actually rethink your whole brand. I think she does. I think she needed to. But she didn't. She uses the same material as if it's all interchangeable. And as consumers in this modern era, we're pretty media savvy at this point. We see the fakery of Meghan Markle's Instagram posts, and most of us are not impressed. I think a good portion of our followers are hate followers, to be quite honest. And so looking at all this together, I won't be surprised at all if Meghan Markle this fades into obscurity after a couple of years, because Meghan's not that invested. She doesn't even care about the name as ever. It was just the only one she could get through the trademark process. That's why she chose it, not because it really represents her brand or what she wants it to be about, but simply because it was the most convenient after her initial idea failed. And I do not have a crystal ball, but given all these factors here, now Meghan Markle is tenacious and maybe this will become huge, but I highly, highly doubt it. Her initial batch left a lot to be desired. Maybe she'll streamline the process, but I imagine, just like everything else, she'll get bored and move on, especially if it's not successful. And honestly, guys, again, I don't even think she's that connected to the idea in the first place. The only thing that moves Meghan, the only thing that motivates her is money. That's it. It's all about the money, nothing else. Now, you can't, let's say, shame the hustle, but people generally who are only in something for the money, I find tend to fail at some point. Because unless you're a financial analyst, people want to know there's more to you than simple greed. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again soon. Bye.